Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always my co-host Tate Mathews. We are joined today by the head coach of the Fairview Yellow Jackets, Coach Hughes. Coach, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Well, I know that we were talking off the air. It's a very interesting concept. You had a Midnight Madness practice. Day one of official padded practice, if you will, 12:01, you started your practice. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's just something we do every now. We did it about 3 years ago and it went really well. But last night, the first time we could get in full pads, we had an hour practice where we did some tackling drills, some form stuff like that. A lot of energy, a lot of competition. The kids were real excited. It was a real good thing for us just to kick off the 2016 full pad part of the season.
Well, did you have a lot of people show up? Was there just
we had
fan base?
We had 100% of our kids show up, so that's all I care about. I saw some people there, but I didn't get a head count.
Well, before we get into the Fairview side of things, let's talk real quick recruiting news. Tate, Brentwood High School kicker Tucker Day was selected to the Army All-American game. Matter of fact, was the first kicker selected.
Yes, and that means he's the #1 kicker in the country. You know, there's a couple of those games now. There's two really big ones, the Under Armour one, the U.S. All-American, Army All-American game. That is still the top one. So if you had your druthers, that's the one you want to go to. He was the first one picked. You know, we've talked about it before. That's what's so impressive about Samaglia. You know, not always, they don't always give special teams guys full scholarships. Tucker Day is going to get a full scholarship, a full ride to somewhere in a Power 5 conference. That's pretty neat.
Well, you think about our kickers over the last 2 years. You know, Mr. Football kicker, football winner last year for kicker came from Ravenwood. You're talking about these two guys are probably going to be the favorite. Tucker Day, Samaglia. You're going to see him here in less than a month in the Battle of 840. What does that bring to the concept of the game? You mentioned that, you can start off at the 20-yard line every time when you have a deep kicker. I mean, what does that do to you, special team-wise?
It makes it where you have to keep them on the other side of the 50 so they can't get 3 points. And with the special teams, you just got to hope he misses one and don't put it in the end zone, because starting from the 20, percentages say, it's less than the 15% chance you're going to get in the end zone. So that gives them a huge advantage on field position. And I hope we can match that on the special teams or at least get close, but that's definitely a check mark on their side.
Well, there's some videos floating. I've seen 50, 55 plus range, but that was obviously with no competition.
So we need to keep him on the side of the 40.
Well, another thing it does is, I don't know about this year, I'm guessing so, but in the past, a big part of their game has been return game. It's been a weapon that they've had. And obviously in high school, if it makes it to the end zone, you cannot return it. So that takes away a big strike ability against a team like them and others, too. That's a big part of it also.
We've returned 19 kicks and punts in the last 5 years for touchdowns, which that's huge. That's points on the board. And if he gets it past the goal line and Bethard and Lusk and Caldwell don't have a chance to return it, that's going to help them a lot.
Right.
I feel really good about a return game. If he can kick it to the 1, I'd feel really better about it. But I got a feeling it's probably going to go over our head. But we can hope for some wind blowing in his face or something like that. But, there's no way to plan for a kicker. You just got to take what's there. If he kicks it out, we're going to be ready to return it if he gives us a chance.
Well, let's look at last year, have a little quick recap here. Finished the year 7-4. A lot of people could have written you off after those first 2 games, 0-2, and then you bounced back with 5-6 consecutive wins. You only lost 2 of the last 7 games there. You put an impressive string together. You faced adversity. You guys bounced back. Was that a testament to leadership of the team or the grittiness?
I tell you, it was one of those where it was fire and brimstone because we had high hopes and high expectations. I feel like our talent level was better than 7-4, and when we started out and got throttled by Page from the first spring scrimmage and then we had a hangover against Creekwood. I feel like that was a game we definitely should not have laid the ball down, but we got to that 0-2 start when we expected to be 2-0 going there. So we had to do some soul searching and decide what we were going to do to fix it. We were missing 7 defensive starters by the 3rd game of the season. So that made our young guys play. So the guys that we've got this year playing have been there and done that. And they did bounce back and they played hard. We had a great game with Waverly, who I thought was absolutely loaded with talent. And we ran that gauntlet, and Camden got us again. We've got to get over that hurdle this year. So Camden and Page are 2 of the big games we got circled on our schedule.
So let me ask you, from my seat, my standpoint, I love the Battle of 840. I love what that brings to Page. I love it what it brings to Fairview. Last year we start that game 38-7, Page. How much of a factor does that weigh into your kids and you and your coaching staff going into the summer? Is that something you really look forward to, or is that something, hey, obviously we want to win, but it's not the end of the season? Or is it something that, say, you know, it's a rival game, it's bragging rights, you've got game day going to be there, you've got the trophy, you've got all that stuff. Do you see that as more of a distraction, or do you see that something as a good?
It's our focus, and right now that's all we're talking about. Like, we're scrimmaging Marshall County Friday night, but we're practicing against Page, and that's our focus. That's the biggest game. I really feel like I think the win from Page over us last year propelled them into a good season. I think whoever wins that game is going to catapult them into a great showing in the region, a great this, and our kids know, especially after last year, which was kind of embarrassing because they throttled us. So I bring that up probably 3 times every day. And one of the things we've had last night, we've got some, you know, the older kids buying in to, you know, they're coming to us this year. It's harder to win at our place. And so we are focused on that game, but it's a huge game. Like, starting off 0-1 or 1-0, it's huge.
Well, I'm relatively new. This is going into third year, and I think I may have even underestimated the rivalry between you two, because when that game started last year, man, it was like two heavyweights going at it. Y'all were both at each other's throats. You could tell the physicality of that game. Page basically came out and set the tone.
Way more physical.
And I know that you were wanting to come out and do more. It just didn't quite work. But there's names not going to be on the field this year. Michael Magochi, Michael Robinson, great players. Hunter Zimmerman, 4-year starter for you, broken pretty much every record there is to break. Ben Buttrey. So what do we expect to see this year from this year's team?
Well, and to give you an idea, I'm going to give you some inside info on how important this game is, because Shane Pantal's a good friend of mine. He used to be before he was a principal at Page. But he saw my daughter at a thing we had out in Fairview, and my 9-year-old is highly involved in the football program at Fairview High School, and she was talking trash to him about what was going to happen, and so they've got a little wager.
I've heard about.
Have you heard about this wager?
Is there a T-shirt involved?
She's worried.
Or a jersey involved?
Yes, she's worried about it very much. She does not want to wear a Page shirt to Westwood Elementary School. So the deal is, he has to wear one of our shirts to school, or she has to wear one. And she tells our kids every day, y'all better beat Page. Y'all better beat Page, because I'm not wearing that shirt. But being without Hunter and Ben, those were two. I like the fact that we only lost 6 seniors. That's a real good thing for us. We are heavy in experience. The bad thing was, it was 2 key positions. When you lose your quarterback and your middle linebacker, it's like starting over. And the good thing is, you know, we had some good competition between Jacob Baker, Cam Lusk, a couple other kids for quarterback, and Cam has come out on top. He's a sophomore, and he'll take Hunter's place and do some good things. And I have several kids that are trying to fill Ben Buttrey's shoes, but our middle linebacker, Josh Ortiz, Derek, has been there, and he's our tone setter. He's been our leading tackler. So the defense, I feel like, is tons more aggressive from the spring and from practice, and a lot better in the secondary, where we got lit up by Page. So we're hoping that without Maguchi and Robinson, that we'd be able to hold them in check a little easier than we did last year.
Well, first of all, when you're talking about your daughter, I'm picturing Remember the Titans, Hayden Penn. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Does she know, like, can she watch and knows what's actually going on? It sounds like she can.
If you give her a jersey number, she can tell you the kid and the year he's in school. And the bad thing is, when I watch film at home, she's in there with me. So her and my son are watching, and as I say things, I'm talking to myself. But then she'll come to practice, and somebody will say, hey, and she'll go, you better start blocking. You're going to lose your spot. And I'm like, hold down, Haley. But she walks around with a little roster and checks them off, and she has her favorites. She definitely knows the game, and my wife too, which makes it tough at home. Anytime I lose, I'm going to be critiqued by at least 3 people when I walk in the door.
Hold you accountable.
Yes, very.
Well, you mentioned Lusk. He's going to be your quarterback. He's going to be a sophomore. How much? He looks like he's a little bit different of a player than Zimmerman. It looks like he's a really good athlete. I know we're going to get that too. But how much do you go back? Hunter was a sophomore,
right?
And so can you rely on the way you brought him along as kind of a blueprint for Lusk, even though he's different?
And what's weird is Jack Ramey was a sophomore before Hunter Zimmerman. So every 3 years I've had a quarterback that's went 3 years, which gave Cam a little advantage because he's young and I can have him for 3 years. So somebody had to really beat him out. But they both, Hunter Zimmerman and Jack Ramey, had their best seasons as sophomores. And I'm going to tell you why. One, No one's got film on this kid yet. Nobody knows his athletic ability. He's our starting point guard for the basketball team. He has great skills, athleticism out the roof. And two, both times that's happened, our senior class has been strong with athletes, which makes a quarterback good, is having really good receivers and a good running game. And hopefully we'll have both. And this is the biggest O-line we've had since I've been there. I really feel good about our trenches on both sides. Coach Jackson's got them playing physical and hard, which is where we lost last year. So we've got to get better physically to play teams like Page and Stratford and CPA and those teams.
And you spoke of that. It all comes down to a matchup game. It's just like basketball. Sometimes you match up better with teams or may not match up at all. You happen to draw Stratford in the first round of the playoffs. It probably wasn't the best of matchups that you would want coming out of the gates. Maybe get a game under your belt and then play those guys, get a little confidence going. Hopefully this year will be a little different. Speaking of Coach Jackson, how nice would it be to suit him up? You think he could be all right?
I tell you, I've got 3 or 4 coaches I'd like to suit up. But I tell you, they bring that intensity to practice and, you know, all the spit flying and yelling, and it's good. And it's positive. It's not negative. Like, they like to strap on their leather helmet and get back out there a couple more times. We hear stories all the time, too, about their playing days and stuff like that, which I like. Yes, all the time.
Well, let's talk about this year's schedule before we get into the clips. Obviously, we talked about the Battle of 840. That is at Fairview this year. Hopefully, that'll be an edge for you. You feel like that's going to be an edge when you play at home. And then you go to Creekwood week 2. Stewart County away, which is a region game. You did win that game last year pretty big. Waverly at home. Waverly's always one of those teams you can't tell which one's going to get off the bus. You know, they're always athletic. Very fast, could be
tons of talent.
Right, and that's at home. And then you got Hickman County away, Cheatham County at home, which is a region game, Sycamore away, and then you finish out with 5 region games. Sycamore away, East Hickman at home. Brian Pence taking over there, was on the independent staff last year. Camden away, Harpeth home. Let me ask you a question real quick. Camden Central, seems like they're a thorn in our side every single year. What's the deal with Camden?
They've got a mental advantage over us. We haven't been able to handle them when we needed to. And what has happened every year is when the game was on the line, they had somebody that stepped up and took over. And last year, Deshaun Brown, the running back, he, in the fourth quarter, we called the pass, called timeout, a screen pass, and he broke 2 tackles and ran over a kid and got the first down, and that catapulted them win. They're not beating us like Page beat us. Camden, I feel like, and we've got a little saying out there that the only team that can really beat Fairview is Fairview. Because if we don't play like we should, the other team's going to win. In that game, we let Deshaun Brown win that game. But we've got to get past that mental block that says Camden has beat us the last few years. And I think this team has decided, here's the thing, our first goal is a region championship, and then we go from there. So we are going to they want to win the region this year. They feel like we're capable of winning the region, and we're set up. But we're starting, you know, right now we're just focused on Page.
Tate, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the over-under was set at 7.5. Coach, you want to weigh in on that? 7.5 wins?
7.5.
You going to take the over or the under on that?
I take the over.
Take the over.
Okay, all right.
Big time.
All right.
Thank you.
Tate
Knows me, and
sure.
I think we're going to be 10-0. So
all right.
I don't ever think we're going. I told my kids, if I ever go in the game and I don't think we're going to win, then I'm really bad. When we played Stratford and we lost 35-0, I really thought we were going to win that game.
Well,
so
I remember walking down the hall with you that week, and you thought pretty good about it.
I felt good about Paige, and it didn't happen.
Okay.
So
That's true. That's true.
Sometimes I feel like I'm nice to my wife, and it's not the case. So
Okay.
I really feel like we can beat every team on our schedule. Now we've got to play well. But I would put a little bit on the 7.5 over.
Okay, all right. That's good. That's what I want to hear.
The thing that I think is pretty neat is he's talking about, you know, this is going to be a little bit different look, Fairview, because we've got, obviously, we're replacing some guys that have been there for a while. I'm looking at that schedule. There's 4 teams, maybe more, have brand new head coaches this year. Now, Chuck Daniels is going back to Creekwood, so you all have history together. But,
right.
But so there's a little bit unknown on them, but there's a little bit unknown on you, too. So I would think that kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, and if I look on here realistically, talent-wise, because honestly, talent wins football games, and we are athletically going to be more talented than about 80% of our schedule. So if we, you know, that means we have to lose a game we should win to end up under 7 losses, in my opinion.
Well,
So,
you know,
that's all it
obviously
is.
when you look through the schedule, you know, this is always a standout game. The Camden game's always a standout. For whatever reason, they've been a thorn in the side And then obviously the Waverly game is always because you don't know which team's going to get off the bus. They could come out like world beaters and blow everybody out, and then the next game you hit them in the mouth the first time and they're done. You know, you can't tell which one's going to show up.
And
so
you can put a star by page. So those three.
Well, yeah, you can throw that out the
Yeah,
window
you can
regardless
put
of
that
how
on
good
there.
or bad anybody
So,
is.
but that's 7.5 wins, and we've got to beat
There
two
you
of
go.
those teams.
There you go.
Home teams won the last two, so
That's
feel
right.
pretty good
So
about
it
that,
shifts
too.
back to you.
Yeah, but we got throttled last year.
Game day is also undefeated in those positions too. I mean,
Are they?
I mean, you know, your boy Hunter Zimmerman put that that note on my car last
Yeah.
year saying I picked the wrong team. I
Yeah.
think it gave him a little bit of motivation.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's got a lot of his coach in him. He believes he's going to win every game. So he was upset with the Stratford loss too. But I do think Page with that win last year, like that wasn't just a win. They physically beat us up. So that's been a major coaching point for us. We've changed a lot of things we do to fix that. So we'll see.
I remember watching. I saw you after the game, and
Oh.
you said that was the first time in a long time you had felt like you didn't compete. So
Yeah.
I know not to bring that happens, but obviously you got that corrected as you gone. That's something that you can go back to, and
It'll be
I
working
know
in
that
your
they've
favor.
been well reminded about it.
Well, and take-
because that's something you've taken pride in. Before you got there, that wasn't always the case. Something I know that you've taken pride in since you've been there is, you haven't won every single game, but we got to where, like you said, we expect to win, and that wasn't always the case at Fairview.
Well, and our kids play hard. Like, that's why I said that after that game. I felt like when the momentum got rolling in their favor, we kind of threw our hands up like, oh, crap, instead of saying, hey, let's fight back. And we had some people out of position. That's why I hate playing Page first game. Because, you're scrimmaging these teams, and this guy looks real good, and all of a sudden you're in the real live action, and you're like, we made a bad decision as a coaches. And another
was
thing.
it the receiver that you're speaking of? Was it one of the receivers?
No, it was all of their receivers and our DBs. And but here's the thing: it wasn't just one. It was position wise. We made a lot of changes.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
I worded that wrong. Yes, because I can remember specifically one-on-ones out there on the edge, and they
We were
just
losing.
getting torched.
Yes.
Not to pick off the scab, but use that. That's your motivation there.
Well,
going in, we look at
learn
that.
from
And here's the thing: like Tate said, the energy level like we didn't have. We've added 4 new coaches, and one of the coaches is Avion Black. He's in charge of DBs, and he played in the NFL. He was a star at Maplewood, TSU. And he's coming in with that energy that the kids are buying into, and he's been working our DBs. And our 7-on-7 went pretty well. Good Pasture was the only team I felt like got us, and they've got a really good receiver. But I feel like those one-on-one matchups, those jump balls are where we've got to fix it, and I think he's got us going in the right direction.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, your lineman won some type of challenge.
We did. We won a skill competition against Hendersonville, all these other teams. It was some good competition there, and I was really excited. Our linemen looked better than ever.
All right, so we have obviously gone over what we wanted to do. So let's and you don't want to show anybody this anyways, but
That's
we're going to
true.
ask you to open up the playbook of Fairview Yellow Jackets and show everybody what we got going.
All right. Well, this if we're looking at now is our base offense look is a 2-by-2, which we call spread, and a 1-back. So a lot of people call it 1 or 1-back or 22 for 2-by-2. But we've got a simple play here, and doesn't go for much. But this is my young quarterback handing off to Josh Ortiz. This is a simple O play. It's just a power to the left side. Lewis County stuffed it up pretty good. And that's what you're getting there. The guard's wrapping. Supposed to get that linebacker that he didn't. Did you see him miss that? And I can do that again and show you. We'll show you our wrap with this guard coming in the hole right here. He's got to get the 52, has to get the linebacker. He whiffs. Thus, the guy makes the play in the hole right there. So, and we got a little bit of outside fireworks.
But you like that. That's
I
what you
do.
want
I
those
like
guys-
that.
you
We
want
do.
them blocking
We
downfield.
have a little edge. Now, here we go to our trip set. I feel like our trip set is a real advantage. Our quarterback's got some legs this year. He can run and throw. So we have 3 receivers to the right, 1 ISO to the left, and we're going to roll to the trip side. Simple flood concept. I've got a flat from the 3, an out from the 2, and a go on the outside. We hit the out pass, and one of the reasons was their DB fell down. But I thought he made a good decision there too. We can look at that again in the trip set. So when we take off, the concept is to high-low the outside
So it's obvious
linebacker.
from the start that this is a pass play, no doubt, right?
Well, that's the thing. In the past, it
You
has
got-
been. Like, if you look at our HUDL is a great thing because it tells me how predictable I am. when I got in trips last year, we were 95% pass. You'll see a change in that this year,
okay.
which I hope Rathbone don't see this. But we'll be running out of our trip set,
You can
Jeremy.
rest assured he'll be watching. Don't
Okay,
worry.
well we're going to run out of our trip set a lot
Okay.
more. We added.
That's
some
with a
plays.
single back, correct?
That's a single back. But here, yeah, they pretty much knew it was, but the DB slipped, and then Caldwell catches a 12-yard out pass, and that's one of our base concepts is flood. So I felt good about that play. Here's a just base run play. It's just a straight ISO, and Caldwell puts the ball on the ground. Luckily, he fought and got it back, or at least our team did. I like the way we went after loose ball. But that's just a simple lead ISO play that we have where we're giving the ball to Hunter Caldwell, who's going to be a really good running back for us. Cam has good control of the huddle, good control of talking. We going off the band. Missed our block there on the outside with our tight end, and that's the reason that wasn't successful.
So go back to that for a second, because
Okay.
we've had some guys in here, and you're the first really spread guy that you see. If you notice, first two plays have been shotgun, either doubles, triples, and now here you are up under center. You got a tight end. You didn't have them in the first ones.
Right.
So really you're spread, but you can also
We're multiple.
very easily line up and get up under center and kind of get a little bit more of a heavy set.
What I really like about us is everybody thinks we're spread, no huddle, throwing the ball around, and we're a real power running team. This is a twins left set. We've got a tight end to the right, two receivers left, and it gives us running lanes. And it's a typical set that you'll see a lot of teams run. But power football is run out of this set, and that's what we're trying to do here. But my tight end misses his block, and the guy, hits him, calls the ball out. And that's what we tell our kids all the time. You're one missed block away from costing us the ball or something bad to happen. But you're right. Our twin set is something we really like to get in against teams we feel like we're better up front. And this year we're pretty good up front. So we'll probably say, now this is our counter play off of that. We just ran a power. So a lot of times, and I'm, again, predictable, when I run the power, if we don't have success, I'm going to come back and counter you or trap you. So we just powered, which was off tackle to the right. So we're going to show the same look. And this time, my fullback's leading through. My back's going the other way. We're pulling. See the guard there pulling out. He kicks. Then we've got a wrap by the tight end. If you'll see the wrap, the 83's coming. He's coming through, and then Beathard breaks loose, and then he's off to the races. Jake Beathard's got a lot of speed.
Yep.
And I like my receiver going downfield blocking too. But that's a typical
It's
counter
funny how
play.
when everybody does what they're supposed to do,
Oh,
it
yeah.
works, right?
I tell you, every play we've got is designed for a touchdown. But this play, this counter play, we've been really successful with because of our line and our agility. You'll see 52 come out and get a great block on the end, that wrap on the linebacker that he pancaked, and then our guys off to the races. And that was a real good play for us. So we'll have to go on up.
So even when, you've been doing this for a while since you've been there, you all like to play fast.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Like you said, you really want to spread. It's all about power running the ball.
Right.
But it doesn't matter if you're under center in the spread or not. Does that slow you down any when you all go there, or are you still playing as fast?
How we do things, it's on a wristband, so we control the tempo by how I call the play. So when I call it fast, they know to get on the ball. So if as soon as the play ends, I'm yelling a number or I'm yelling a color, they're getting back on the ball. If I want to slow it down and see what the defense is doing, we got two options. I can freeze you, or I can just take my time. And a lot of times people get confused with our no huddle because I had a person ask me one time. He said, "You're snapping the ball at 22 seconds and you're in no huddle." He said, "Yeah, you're." And I had another guy tell me, he said, "You're wasting your time. You should just huddle up, And I said, "Well, I'm seeing what the defense is doing within that 22 seconds." So there's a lot going on here, but I like the fact that we can do anything and we have checks. We were talking about that earlier, Tate. My quarterback has checks. One, let's say we've got this play called, it's a power to the left right here, and Lewis County overloads the side we're running to. He's got a simple check that calls the same play to the other side. We do that on trap. We do that on power. On our read game and power plays, he can check to the bubble screen. He can check to, a stay, just a quick outside pass. So there's lots of things that go into it. But I tell him, anytime he checks, he needs to be right, because if it's not what I say, so they're limited.
Now, are you predominantly making all the play calls?
Yeah.
Or do you have an offensive coordinator?
I make all the play calls with people in my ear.
Gotcha.
If you
Okay.
understand what that means.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach Jackson is telling me run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And then I've got another coach that say, you know, my receivers coaches want me to throw. Now, here's the thing. Coach Jackson is the assistant head coach, and I trust what he sees. And when he sees a lineman at defenses, he's really good at saying, hey, off tackle right is where we need to go. We evaluate and look at film and decide where their weakness is or our strength, and we try to steal it. Here's a deep counter play, and this is typical Tate. You'll see another play where we run power with Caldwell so much that if the flow gets going, and Lewis County was flowing, that we'll run it and hand it to Jake with that guard pull on the backside. And that
he does a good job.
Yeah, and he got to his guy, he got on him. Now, if that defensive lineman tackles Bether and I are going to have a talk. So I tell him, if 53 makes that tackle, we're not where we need to be. But
So
he
it's obvious he's got some speed. There's no doubt about that.
he has got some speed
And
cuts well. See, he's got good vision. But Caldwell opens that up because we've been pounding Caldwell at him right here. And when we come, look at the surge of Lewis County all to Caldwell. The great fake by Lusk. We got one guard pulling, but he's got two who's their best player, and he gets on him. Now he still gets a hand on him, but he can't bring him down. And that's our typical power counter game that we run against Lewis County, and we will run. We'll see a heavy dose of that. And then we get back onto the defensive side. Our defense has played well. We could have shown some of that stuff, but
you know, there's so many different defenses now. It seems like a lot of them are running, you know, some form of 3-down lineman, and then whether it be a 3-3, a stack, a 3-4, whatever. When you're game planning, or is it just who you're playing? That's what you do. Is there a defense you like to see?
You know, we're going to start out in a base 30 this year, which we've been in 40. But like Page, you know, when they spread you out, you can't have more than 6 to 7 in the box, or they're going to throw all over you. But then if you bring too many in the box, too many out of the box, they're going to run on you. So that's your plan every week against everybody, is what do they like to do? Like wing T teams, we're going to load the box. We're going to say beat us through the air. Spread teams, we're going to say we're taking away the air, you got to beat us on the run. So we're trying to take away what they're best at. Like we look at a team and say, this quarterback's thrown for 1,400 yards. Okay, well, we need to make them run. So we're going to put pressure in the box. That goes into our game plan, and then you try to find matchups. And I don't want to single anybody out because we have weaknesses too. But you watch all the film you can, and you try to find that one guy that's going backwards. Or you find that one guy that he just don't have that extra heart that the guy in front does. And then you try to exploit that, which is really hard to do. Go ahead.
All right, so we've got less than a month, 3 weeks, I think, a little bit, maybe 2.5 weeks till the Page game, Battle of 840, August the 19th at Fairview. Vegas is called. They've upped the ante to 9.5 games. Coach is taking the over. Fairview Nation, you better get ready.
It may have been my big wager on Fairview that pushed that line.
9.5. The line is officially moved.
Wow.
Vegas watches this show, in case you didn't know. They move their lines according to what we say on here.
Now, I would bet on the 9.5, but it would be less than the 7.5.
Well, best of luck. We look forward to seeing this. We can't wait to see the Battle of 840. It's always a great game, fun game for us, great environment, and look forward to seeing what happens this year.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next week on WCS Sports Connection.
Please come on out and join us at the 2016 Williamson County Fair from August 5th to the 13th at the Ag Expo Park in Franklin, Tennessee. This year's theme is Barnyard Mardi Gras. Some daily events at the fair this year include carnival rides, the escape artist Lady Houdini, livestock shows, and great food. Some special events include Elvis tribute artist Sean KLUSH and Cody Ray Slaughter, the Bluegrass Music Festival, and much more. Ticket prices are $7 for adults, $4 for children ages 6 to 12, and children under 6 get in free. Hope to see you there.